Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 10:39. Our next case is Mr. Corey Jones. Mr. Jones, would you please give us your full name and DOC number?
Corey Jones, 459-458.
Mr. Jones, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record. And then at the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who've indicated a willingness to speak to have their input. Now, you have speaking on your behalf, Mr. Kerry Myers. Now, it's my understanding there are also a number of other people there at Elaine Hunt with you. Where are those people located? Do we know?
Right here, sir.
Okay, is there just one?
No, we have one.
Okay, I have Myraka Dunbar, Janice Bernard, Elizabeth Jones, Timothy Campbell, Kimberly Smith, Margaret Smith, Tressa Jones, and Darian Dunbar. Two of those persons I mentioned can speak. Now, I need for you to tell me, Mr. Jones, which two of those persons you wish to speak.
Margaret Smith and Timothy Campbell.
Margaret Smith and Timothy Campbell. Okay, thank you. Also in opposition, we have Tiffany Wilder Scott, Carolyn Parker, Aisha Green, and Raven Lewis. Tiffany Wilder Scott will be the only one speaking. The others are here simply observing. At the end of the hearing, at the end of our interview and hearing, you'll have an opportunity to say whatever it is you'd like to say to the board before we vote. Do you understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones, I'm going to ask if you could pull up a little bit. I'm having difficulty. I may have hearing issues. I don't know. I think I talk so loud, I've kind of made myself, yeah. But if you could pull up a little bit, because I'm having difficulty hearing you, and I want to make sure everybody can hear you. This is the matter of Corey L. Jones, DOC number 459458, date of birth August the 13th of 1977. He's a first-class offender. He has a parole eligibility date of August the 13th of 2022. He has an adjusted good time date of April the 4th of 2033, a full term date of March the 6th of 2040. He is currently serving a 40-year sentence on the charge of manslaughter, having been sentenced on September the 20th of 2002. Mr. Jones, is all of that information correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones, your case has been assigned to Ms. Pearl Wise. Would you please answer any questions she might have?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Jones. How you doing?
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine, ma'am.
Good, good. Mr. Jones, tell us why you're in jail.
I'm in jail for manslaughter.
That's the charge. What did you do?
I shot Mr. Leroy Lewis in the abdomen, and later on,
Say again.
I shot Mr. Leroy Lewis in the abdomen, and later on that day he died.
What was the circumstances?
Circumstances was we had gotten into an argument that turned physical, and I made the foolish decision to go and grab a gun and shoot him, which resulted in him ending his life.
What you mean when you say it turned physical?
Well, after the argument, we did a little shoving with each other. And then I made the foolish decision to go get a gun, shoot him, and it resulted into him dying.
Tell us a little bit about who you were then.
At that time, ma'am, I was a lost individual, just going through all type of things. Didn't know who I was, still trying to find myself, you know. And
How old were you then?
I was 22, ma'am. 22 years old.
How old are you today?
I'm 45 now.
And how long have you served on this charge?
23 years.
Okay, let's talk about what you've done in these 23 years.
I
What kind
have,
of programs have you had?
I have participated in automotive technology. I have participated in anger management, substance abuse, victim impact, victim awareness. And I got a couple of more other small certificates like library training and things of that matter.
Okay, okay. You got a certification in auto mechanic, did you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I thought I read that. And in terms of your disciplinary, in these 23 years, you've had three write-ups. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
That shows a great deal of self-control.
Yes, ma'am. I learned that by being here, taking those courses that I took, like anger management, all those other courses that helped me out.
That's good. That's good. That's really good to see. How long you been at Hunt?
I've been at Hunts now for 4 years, man.
Okay, 4 years. Okay. I saw where you were a Pride member in 2007.
Yes, ma'am.
And are you a Strive member now?
Well, that was at DCI, that was at another facility.
Right, right. Yes, I saw that somewhere. Are you a trustee?
Yes, ma'am.
How long you been a trustee?
Been a trustee almost 6 months now, man.
Oh, so you okay? You trustee. Do you have any children?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have your high set?
Well, I got GED when I was out free.
Oh, okay, okay. I did show you the complete GED. One of the things I read in the report is that you turned yourself in on the day of this incident.
Yes, ma'am.
What made
Yes.
you do that?
I know I had did something wrong, ma'am, and I wanted to take the full responsibility of what I had done.
Even at age 22, you decided.
Yes, ma'am.
I do want to inform you, as a part of this process, we do reach out to the law enforcement community to get their opinion about early release, and there's some opposition. The DA's office, the sheriff's office is opposed. And the victim's family is here, and they're going to speak on their own behalf, but there's some opposition being expressed from the family members. You completed victim impact September the 20th of 22. Tell me about 3 things you learned in victim impact that you didn't already know.
Well, I learned in victim impact, I learned that the crime could spread beyond the victim itself and spread amongst the community and friends and anyone else that's close to the victim. And I also learned how it feels to be victimized through the eyes of the victim and learn the way they feel about being victimized.
Okay, one more thing, I asked you for 3.
Oh, all right. And I also understand how far the impact goes of victimizing the person.
Your residence plan is with Miss Margaret Smith. Who is that?
That's my auntie.
Okay. And how would you support yourself if you're successful today?
I would find a job in the trade of automotive technology.
All right, Warren, what can you tell us about this young man?
He's been doing well, Ms. Pearl. He's a trustee, like you said. He hasn't had a write-up since 2005. He has a lot of family support. He's very respectful and humble when you speak to him. Seems to be very remorseful for his actions. Been doing well.
All right, thank you. That's all I had, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Now we'll hear from your supporters. First, we'll hear from Mr. Kerry Myers. Mr. Myers, good morning.
Good morning. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. I'm here this morning to tell you that we've accepted Mr. Jones into our program. He has served 23 years on his sentence. He is a first offender. This is his first felony conviction. You can see by the programming he's taken from both vocational and self-help programming. He has definitely been committed to improving himself, to not to recognizing that that the very poor choice he made in a situation as a 22-year-old. He is, the maturity stands out. We certainly are here to help him through his transition. We know that he has a solid long-term plan, but we are here to help him through his transition after 23 years. We certainly understand what his needs are going to be should he be released. We are prepared to give him the mentorship, the case management, and the support systems that he needs should he be released. So we just ask you to grant his parole today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Myers. We appreciate your
Excuse me,
comment.
Mr. Myers, he gonna, in your residential program, or are you gonna monitor him at his aunt's house?
No, ma'am, he'll start with us in residence.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
We'll next hear from Mr. Timothy Campbell.
Yes, I'm Timothy Cameron, pastor of the Greater Mount Pure Baptist Church. I've been keeping up with Brother Corey since he's been in. You can hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. I think we can hear.
I can
Okay.
hear.
All right, we've been keeping up with Brother Corey since he's been in here. Consists of Esmeralda, the idea of what had happened in the past, a youth of his life. He was sorry for that, and I share with him the idea that God is a forgiving God. But likewise, I ask God, invest back in God for forgiveness, while we have to accept the fact of what we did. When we're young, we do things out of action without thinking about it first. Most time we think about it after it didn't happen. And sometimes that thing that happened can stay within our life for a long time. But the idea that he was humble enough, I share with him, and turn himself in, to look toward making himself a statue of being an example for other young men who he can talk to and work with. Consists of not being hot-headed, not moving too fast, consists of in the action of life. It's a lot of things that come at us on the other side of life, that whereby you're in the world, but you gotta always think first. Thinking first is that big old plus. Sometimes saying a little prayer, asking the Lord to get you out of a heated situation. Sometimes you try to walk off and the thing come behind you. But sometimes you just gotta keep moving forward. But never, don't grab no gun. Call the police, get help, get other people involved. I'm very proud of him, the things that he have accomplished, that you guys have shared with him for his training and programs and all those things that brought about a great change within his life. And it's an honor to sit down and talk to him now and see that he got a whole new look of life. But I have a lot of young men that come to the church that have to do different programs with the Central Parish Sheriff Department and community service, who we work with likewise. In the midst of working with them, also share with them that you don't have to go back to that old situation. Sometimes you gotta change your friends, change your atmosphere, change everything around you, make a new start. So we praying for him that this turn out successful. We've already claimed the victory. But when he get out, we're gonna wrap our arms around him. He can be a big plus to us and helping us with the youth department at the church. That's all I have, sir.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Jones, I think you wanted Ms. Margaret Smith to talk. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Margaret Smith?
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Smith. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I am Corey's aunt. I'm a retired teacher, and I have filled many capacities in the education department in Ascension Parish. I've been a paraprofessional. I've been the head secretary, a counselor clerk, a computer lab attendant, and next thing was to pursue my job as a teacher and educator. And through that, I think Corey has learned that we have to keep pushing and pursuing different aspects of our lives. And Corey has a lot of support from this family, and he has a lot of people that he can look up to. In Corey's family, we have two other educators. One is a coach, one is a math teacher. He has his aunts, Janice and Elizabeth. They are supervisors on their job. They can also help with Corey's rehabilitation. And we also have our pastor, who's our biggest supporter, even though in the past, while Corey was in lockdown, his dad died and my mom She came to support Corey. She was 96 years old and still finding her way to come here. And her biggest thing was to be around to see Corey get to this moment. And since she's not here and his father is not here, we're here to support him. And we know that Corey has the aspect and the abilities of moving forward and not looking back at what he had done, but giving remorse to the things that he had done. And to the family of the victim, our hearts goes out to them because we know what it is to lose someone. But yet we know that God is a forgiving God. And we are asking forgiveness for Corey, that we may be here to help him to look forward and moving forward in his life as well. Because we know that what had happened, maybe he wasn't thinking. He was, and I know that he had recently buried his mom. She had cancer, and the decision came upon him to whether or not to pull the plug. And that was a hard decision for him to make. And he had to make that decision. So we know, and I'm not trying to sit here and come up with different excuses, but I know as an individual, things like that affects you. And you're not thinking right, you're not getting all the marbles in a row like you're supposed to. But now he's had that chance to go through this penal system, and he's rehabilitated himself with all of the certificates and programs that he has gone through. He sees everybody else is just making strides in their lives, in the family, how they can not look back and move forward and build in their lives. And this is what he's trying to do as well, build in his life. And I'm sure if he had that chance from that board, he would be successful. And as far as Corey coming and live with me and my husband, that would be the best thing of our lives. My husband is 73 years old, I'm 68 years old, and we can use a strong man around the house, definitely. And with prayers from our family, we are a strong, praying family, and we know that Corey is going to succeed in life because we're here for him. And we're not going to turn our backs on him. I still pray for the victim's family that they would see fit and that God would just encourage them, strengthen them, continue to strengthen them as well as us. And I pray that this board could see fit, that Corey could come home and be the man that he should be and he's already taken responsibility.
Thank you,
for
Ms.
what he had done.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your comments, ma'am.
All right.
We'll now hear from Ms. Tiffany Walder Scott. Yes, ma'am. If you wouldn't mind walking up to that podium. Introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to do.
Good morning. My name is Tiffany Lewis Scott. I'm the sister of Leroy Lewis Jr. Remembering him with members is easy. Living without him is the hardest thing that my family had to do. The outer part of our wound has healed, but the inner part will never grip itself to close from being so broken. To get a phone call letting you know that the person who killed your brother was up for parole after only doing 23 years of a sentence that he pled guilty to, a 40-year sentence. It was hard enough to accept 40 years, but to say, oh, he's done 23, he's eligible for parole. In these last couple of weeks, I have questioned God why. A wise young man reminded me that God is just not our God. As I tried to explain that to my mother, my brothers, and his two daughters, God reminded us that he is our strength, that he is near the brokenhearted and save the crushed spirit. He that dwelled in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So at this present time, at this present moment, is God's will.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jones, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before the board votes?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'd like to thank the parole board for giving me this hearing. I'm very honored to have this opportunity. Second of all, I'd like to make an apology to Mr. Leroy Lewis' family. I'd like to apologize for the impact of the crime that I had caused against the family. And my foolish decision to pull the trigger and take their loved one life away from me. I just want to apologize for that. Not a day had passed in my life that I haven't thought about the wrong that I've done to that family. I've taken their loved one away from me. And I also want to let them know how deeply sorry I am for pulling off the act that night. I wish I would have just walked away from that incident. I hope every day I wish I could just turn back the hands of time and made a better decision instead of the foolish decision that I made. I take full responsibility for my actions. And I also like to apologize to my family as well for bringing them through the hurt and pain that I brought them through over the years. That's all I have to say, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. We appreciate your comments. Is the panel ready to vote?
Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, to the family of Mr. Lewis, I really appreciate y'all being here today. And it was so profound what was said in your statement. God is not just our God. Everybody's God. And he reigns over this whole process, over this world. Corey, you have a low tiger. You've only had 3 write-ups in 23 years. The warden had outstanding comments about you. You have good community support, and you go into a good program. You've been accepted into the Louisiana Parole Project, one of the esteemed programs in this area. So my vote is to grant for those reasons. To begin 6 months after release, I want you to do 8 hours a month community service. Try to find some 22-year-olds to talk to.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you can identify that age. I think you pass either way for 8 hours a month. And the 8 hours going to include your planning. You're working out what you're going to talk, what you're going to present, and all of that. And I'd like for you to get some grief counseling. You got some unresolved grief. That's going to be kind of hard to find, but keep searching for it. Get involved in grief counseling. And that is my vote.
Thank you, Ms. Watts. Ms. Johnson.
First to the Lewis family, thank you all so much for being here today. And I'd also like to thank our speaker for your grace that you're willing to accept. I really admire you for not holding on to bitterness. Because bitterness only destroys you, and it's good to see that you're moving away from bitterness to accepting whatever God's will is. And we know that sometimes what's intended for evil, God can use and work for good. It's my desire that you see some good come from this process. But I'd like to thank you very much for being here. This is a very difficult decision when you see something that was just so needless happen. But our job today is to look at the person you are now, not the fool you were at 22. And you have done well. You've only had 3 limited write-ups. You've done good programs, you have a good transition plan. And so my vote today likewise would be to grant your early release with the same conditions as stated on this form.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. I'd also like to thank the family of the victim that's here today. It took a lot of courage for you to come here today. Mr. Jones, I agree with my colleagues. You've done well while you've been in prison. Good comments from the warden. You're going to a good place with the Louisiana Parole Project. So my vote likewise would be to grant with the same conditions as outlined by Ms. Wise. So your parole has been granted today to the Louisiana Parole Project. You'll be doing 8 hours of community service work 6 months after you are released. You also are to get brief counseling and to follow all of the recommendations of the Louisiana Parole Project. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.